Can you see me? I hope so. I'm breathing hard, and it's a change of scenery because I am in the sensory room in my local library. And I've been kind of living out the parts of my inner child that was a little suppressed. But I was like, you know what? Let me get something adult done. So why not film some content? So what I decided is, let me talk about some things that I learned that led me up to my adult life that I use as guidance through my interpersonal interactions and just how I live my life. Now, this is going to be in the style of a listicle because I want to get this done as quickly as possible. I only have a few minutes and I don't want to get off topic, okay? Okay, so first of all, fake gets you far. Being disingenuous and dishonest is a lot more sustainable than what we're taught or led to believe. You have to cater to people's emotions and how you think they're going to react and stuff like that. So usually that involves being fake. The next thing is everything is a competition. It really is, quite literally. Like, everyone is trying to win at something, okay? So how do you win at something? You compete. People compete with someone who's not in their league. People compete with whoever they think is trying to take their job, or they compete with somebody like they don't even know if this person wants exactly what they want in life, or they probably don't even want what that person wants in life. But it's just like, I have the urge to want to win, to want to beat them out and take whatever I think they're going to achieve. So yeah, it's a competition, boo. Life is a competition. Here we go. The next thing is relationships mean not really being at ease. So in a sense, you really never know peace because human interaction is friction. And yes, of course, romance and all that, you bump heads and stuff, but also with friendships, with your parents, or if you have children, with your children, your co-workers. There's always going to be some sort of, again, competition or reason why people kind of bump heads, if you will. Now, the next thing I would say is, with that said about relationships and competition, imitate, then annihilate your competition. Oh, wow, what can I explain about this? Give me a minute to ponder on it. So you know how they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans do? It isn't simply about like being in a community or just the interpersonal thing that we do, mirroring somebody. It's more so about harvesting or leeching off of an energy that you find beneficial or profitable in some way. You can't just let someone be who they are or anything like that. You have to, again, because people are trying to win at something, it's a competition. You have to get rid of the competition in some way. You have to borrow ideas, you know what I mean? Personality traits, make use of those personality traits, adopt those traits of that person that you find is your competition. Or if they're your friend, make them your competition. If you decide that they're, if you seem jealous of them in some way. This is some things that I noticed. Not all this applies to like me personally, though. It's like things that I observe and life lessons and such as I've become an adult. But if you're jealous of them, or if you don't like them in the first place, or it just seems like their competition, imitate and then annihilate in some way, like make them second guess themselves, have them, burn their light out and such. It's not always about something so dreadful, or you know what I'm saying, like, as it's not like actually committing a crime, so to speak. That's why it's socially acceptable. That's just how things are. Now, I would say is rules are arbitrary, okay? Now, people will not hesitate to force you to conform to something, especially if you have like some sort of incandescence or iridescence, something about you that's bright. You know how people are like, they want to steal your light? Part of annihilating the competition is forcing them to conform to something that'll burn their life out, that'll snuff them out, for lack of a less abrasive word, okay? Rules just don't apply to everybody, baby, okay? And if they can force you to conform to a rule that they themselves don't follow, they'll do it. What I will say next? I'm thinking. Okay, so with that being said about rules and stuff, and having a brightness about you, is that standing out isn't the flex that you think it is. I know this sounds messed up. They're like, when people are like, oh, be yourself and stand out above the crowd or beyond the crowd. But like, being yourself is supposed to attract your tribe and bring you the things that you desire and stuff like that, but not really. Sometimes instead of opening doors, it closes doors. Like, being yourself will close a door. It'll push people away. Standing out oftentimes has an adverse effect. Sometimes you have to do what Romans do in order to simply be safe. I wouldn't even say to get what you want, get what you want, simply to be safe. You know what I'm saying? And do I have anything else? Use benign antagonism and plausible denial. Those are key components to gaslighting. Like, have you ever seen, like, you ever witnessed or been subject to someone doing something intentionally? Like, whether you had the hard evidence or if it was just, an air about them, like the soft evidence that you did this shit on purpose. But then if you were to approach them about it or call them in about it, they're denying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're finding a way, the backhanded compliments, the being two-faced, the stealing your ideas, or trying to take something that you do want for yourself, or something that you just found interesting, you thought you'd give it a try, but then acting like, oh, I didn't know, oh my God, or no, that's not it at all. Sweetheart, yes, the F it was, and it was. Stop playing in my face. But yeah, it's that's a useful tactic, being an adult, okay? You gotta learn that young too. And then I'm gonna make this it. The last thing is, nobody with privilege is trying to share it or jeopardize it. I think they can stand alone, but as adults, most of us have come to learn that, sweetheart, no one wants to be at the bottom of a caste system, because we know exactly what social hierarchy is, what privilege is. We know what privilege is. We know I am a Black American, and we know exactly, even though we know what people think about us, we tend to be in denial, or we have this kind of microcosmic scope on ourselves, because most of us live self-centered lives. And it's like, well, if I'm an exceptional Negro, if I am an example of Black excellence, then those stereotypes or their negative thoughts about my group of people won't apply to me specifically. But it's like, nah, sweetheart, if someone else has a privilege that you don't have, they're not really willing to share it. We see it in everyday how people vote, who our current president is, and how this country has moved for centuries, honestly. No one wants to jeopardize the power that they have, and it's power and privilege. Okie dokie. With all that said, before I have to run on out of here, this is probably a pessimistic. I can't talk right now because I'm still kind of on an emotional high from playing. I'd play like The Floor is Lava. Anyway, but what I was trying to get at is that as an adult, hold up, I completely lost my train of thought. Oh my God, I want to go back and play. How much time I got? I got a few minutes. Let me think again, okay? My mind went somewhere else. Okay, so these are like rather pessimistic concepts. However, I consider myself realistic with a lens of optimism. Like, I mean, if we're willing to change ourselves in subtle ways, that'll then have that ripple effect. Probably won't see it in my lifetime, but hey, but in the grand scope of things, it's like most of us know whether we learned earlier in life before others did, or we just learned later in life. But like, we know that no one is going to come and save you. Your life lessons come in your lifetime when they come, but what these concepts, the little list that I just made up, kind of comes from is like kind of digging into the why that is. And it's like, how did it come about? You know, kind of, you know, the inner sociologist in me trying to open up and share with you what I've learned through life, and hopefully it can apply to yours and you can understand it in some sense. Okay? All right. Let me play for a little while longer before I have to go and shut things down. Bye-bye.